Roll call to order the meeting of the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada. Ms. Quigley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your agenda is in order and ready for your approval.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 2 is to receive the General Manager's report, and we do have a few items to share with you this morning. One of my favorite items of all is Superstar of the Quarter, and I'm very excited to announce Tony Abraham as our Superstar of the Quarter. Let me tell you. Come on down, Tony, while I tell you a little bit about him. Tony is an equipment tech in our technical systems department. He's been with us for about 7 years. He's got a great attitude, good team player. When he's out in the field, he's always assisting customers. But there's something else that he does above and beyond just the scope of his RTC role, but in the essence of the RTC. He works as a hobby. He takes old bikes, refurbishes them, and repairs them, and donates them to a public pedal bicycle collective, which is located in downtown. It provides refurbished bikes at a low cost to the community, and the proceeds benefit bicycle outreach and awareness programs. And to date, Tony has helped refurbish more than 24 bikes for the Public Pedal Project. He's extremely deserving of this award, and we're very proud to have him with the RTC. Oh, yeah. Come on, there you go.
Well, first and foremost, I thank everybody. I'm honored and blessed to receive this award. I couldn't be here without my team. My team consists of my supervisor, Brent Myers, John Neville, Jerry Keating, Rick Moore, Tina. Outstanding leadership. Without the leadership, I couldn't receive this. You set the bar. So thank you very much.
Oh, Tony, thank you. I got to tell you, we'll right back at you, Tony. I think you set the bar when it comes to customer service. I've spent some time with Tony as he's servicing the TVMs along Boulder Highway. And for those of you who are familiar, we've got some very fun customers and characters out there, don't we? And Tony is a friend to all of them. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
More fun recognition and awareness. Most of you know that Southern Nevada Transit Coalition is celebrating their 10th year of service, and we are, as Silver Rider, as you know, they are a partner. They serve about 11 different rural communities, including Laughlin, Mesquite, and Boulder City. They have been an extremely successful service. In fact, over the last 10 years, they've doubled the amount of ridership. Up to about 600,000 passengers this year. They were recently successful in securing a 99-year no-cost lease to build the first transit maintenance facility in Laughlin, and they regularly are able to raise matching funds, sometimes in excess of $30,000 for grants that provide senior transportation to services, and they do that via fundraising efforts and community participation. And that's a lot. That's a lot for what this service is, for who they are, and there's really one person who has been able to do this. Deb Dowenauer. Do we have her here with us today? If she could come down. Deb has really built this system over the past 10 years, and obviously just those statistics alone speak for it. But for those of you who know her, she is tenacious and passionate. She is a well of dedication to what she does. So we are so lucky to have you.
Can I go ahead? Yeah. No, I think we're lucky to have you. We're lucky to have the RTC and Nevada DOT, and also the Aging and Disability Services of Nevada. And my team is fabulous. I don't drive the bus. I don't work on the buses. I don't do PMs on the buses. So I wish my staff could be here, but the wheels on the bus have to go round and round. So you have me. So I thank you. Sandy, I have some bags for the RTC staff. I sent some, Director Rudy, up to your transit staff, your wonderful transit staff. So I thank you. I thank you very much.
Good job, Deb. We want to report to you on some advances with our DBE efforts and goals. As you know, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, the DBE, is a Department of Transportation program that takes into account socio and economic factors. And we wanted to report on to you the RTC's overall 3-year goal for DBE participation is 4.7%. And as you can see by this chart, we are meeting, or they're so funny, they're so subtle and humble in the purchasing group. They just wanted you to know they are meeting or exceeding their goals. But if you actually look at the chart, you can see they practically tripled their goals. So I know Lydia and Sharon, you're in here too. I just got to give you a shout out. If you could stand up real quick. You guys work really hard, and you're very dedicated to securing our DBE goals. So thank you also. Next slide, Viva Bike Vegas. Oh, we skipped this slide. Yeah, we look fast though, don't we? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we look fast, right? Well, you are looking at 2 of the 2,500 riders that we had participate in Viva Bike Vegas. And that number, 2,500 riders, that's the highest. That's record setting. That's the most that we've had. And in part, it was due to the fact that our people who have ridden it in the past really like this event. We've now partnered with Interbike and Pinarello Bicycles. And I think part of the reason we had such high participation was we had 5-time Tour de France and 2-time Giro d'Italia champion Miguel Indurain join us. He rode the 122 miles in about the time that it took me to ride 50. But after the race, he told staff that he very much looks forward to participating again. So we were thrilled to hear that, and me and Deborah decided, since he's so cute, that he could. So, so we look forward to seeing him again. We also have to recognize the local charities that we worked with for this event: UC San Diego, Nevada Cancer Institute, the After School All-Stars, and Communities in Schools. So we look forward to another event in 2013. We've already got it scheduled for September 21st of next year. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the LVCVA participating in this in any way, shape, or form?
They help us in terms of promoting it.
Because I see this turning into a worldwide event, you know, and a great draw that the RTC started. So I kind of like to see their participation a little more. So maybe next year we'll look into this and, and certainly. Do
you know any board members?
Yeah, I'm familiar with a couple of board members.
Okay.
So.
It was great fun, and I'd love to challenge everyone to come out next year and ride with us.
How many miles did you go?
Oh, I only went the short distance.
we used to get a jersey when they done this, but I put mine on one time, and we've never got them since.
We'll see.
I just wanted to say thanks again, too. I'm on the After School All-Stars board, and we had our board meeting on Monday, and Mrs. Wynn and Jenna Morton and Jim Jimerson, they're our president, chair, and secretary treasurer. Very appreciative, especially because Susie Lee did the full, she's also on our board, the 120 miles, and her daughter did half. And so she personally raised a good sum of money
really
for
dedicated,
the program. So thank you.
Next slide. UNLV's Safe Community Partnership recently held their 16th annual luncheon, to recognize people throughout our community who are promoting and advocating pedestrian safety measures. And we are really proud to announce that 4 of our employees were recognized. Carl Scarborough, Carl, are you here? Can you stand? Yep, there. He was recognized for his work in pedestrian and bus stop safety. In particular, the award cited his work in keeping the safety of transit riders and pedestrians in mind during the placement phase of bus stops and transit amenities. One of the comments, he was commended for understanding that everyone is a pedestrian sometime during their day. Adrian Packer, is Adrian here? Yep, Adrian over there. She was recognized for her work in raising pedestrian awareness while writing the Road Warrior column for the Review Journal. And now, of course, she's an RTC employee, and we're thrilled to have her with us. Mohammed Farhan was recognized for his planning efforts to ensure that pedestrians are protected as best as possible, and Carl Magnuson was recognized for his work on improving pedestrian safety by training elementary school children on how to activate pedestrian crossing buttons and how to cross the street safely. So if we could have a group round of applause for those employees. All right, and our last item of the GM report, wanted to let you know that a lot of times we make decisions as managers and executives of an organization from our desks because that's the most efficient way to make them. That isn't always the best way to make them. Recently, Assistant General Manager MJ Maynard, who is not here today, but she and her team, they've done something a little bit different. They wanted to start hearing about the progress of our initiatives from the workforce. They're the ones who implement service during service changes. They're the ones who implement our policies, and they're the ones who interact with our customers, which is 160,000 a day, regularly. So it makes sense to get their feedback on the progress that we're making in transit operations. So she recently conducted the very first ever focus group from the drivers of both fixed route and paratransit, with the objective to obtain feedback about their experiences as operators, to identify if there are things that we can do to improve and to make their experience better as operators, and things that we can do to improve that would make our customers' experience better. The fact remains, it's this workforce that interacts with our customers daily, and we know that if we want to improve our customers' overall experience, we need to start by listening to our operators and getting their feedback. So I commend her for doing that. Next slide. She thought of this effort on her own, got together with the contractors and her staff, and here's what we learned a lot. But from our fixed route operators, specifically the deuce drivers on the strip, they told us that there's ways we can improve our signage and collateral to enhance customer service and speed. A lot of times they get bombarded with questions about how do I get to such and such place. Lots of very standard questions. So we are developing collateral with FAQs, frequently asked questions on it. So when they get these, the driver can just give the customer the list of FAQs. It gives the customer more comprehensive information, and also it cuts down on the interaction that's required to get that passenger on board. So it speeds up the service, which in turn saves money. We also learned that there were some onboard equipment issues that we needed to resolve. Very simple issues. They are actually already resolved and are allowing for increased customer service and speed. The drivers also talked to us about needing more TVMs, specifically on the strip, to speed up the service, and we are now have plans underway to do exactly that. So our Veolia drivers provided great insight on how the RTC can improve and how we can provide them with the tools they need to provide better customer service. We'll continue to meet with these fixed route operators. Quarterly, we'll look at different routes. We have our next focus group already scheduled, and we'll be meeting with about the operators of 3 to 5 different routes. So in about another quarter, we'll have some more to report to you. On the paratransit side, of course, the biggest issue we heard from the drivers was regarding the disruptive passenger policies. They wanted to know, what are our policies with regard to disruptive passengers and being physically encountered? So the RTC is working together with First Transit on providing greater clarification on these policies, and we will continue to assist the drivers and First Transit in any way we can in their interactions with our customers. We also learned that there's areas to improve in our scheduling, and that there are always efficiency, right? there are efficiency issues with the technology that is currently being used. The RTC is now looking into these issues to address and improve upon, to make scheduling better and improve upon the experience that our riders have. And the last major category that we heard from really had to do with the needs of dialysis customers. The First Transit drivers provided valuable insight and ideas for how to address the needs of our dialysis passengers. So took their comments and feedback very seriously. MJ is preparing an action plan. This wasn't just a touch you once, see you later endeavor. She will follow up with them and will ask the contractors to post the action plans in the driver's break room so that they know what's going on and that there's follow-up. That is the conclusion of the general manager report.
Commissioner.
Thank you. On the disruptive passenger issue, it probably shouldn't be limited just to First Transit because people can be disruptive on the regular bus. In fact, when I rode Barbara's route the other day, I got on just after an altercation had occurred. So maybe whatever Sandy and the group come up with, it's a training component as well that maybe we can share with both groups. Thank
Fair
you.
enough.
Councilwoman.
At the August meeting, one of the drivers for the fixed route asked me to specifically to ride the system. And so in the last month, I've actually ridden 8 buses in the system. And so I feel as though I have a good feeling for what's going on out there. And obviously there's challenges and opportunities. But one of the things that I found very impressive is that you have every socioeconomic group riding buses and that it's a service for our entire community. And my hope, and I hope it's the goal of this board, is to get more folks riding transit and making it more friendly and usable and expanding the service that we're able to provide throughout our community. Get people out of their cars and onto buses.
Thank you for writing. Okay. No other questions? Next is item number 3, receive the Nevada Department of Transportation Director's Report. Rudy.
Thank you, Tina. Board members. Just a few things to report. We had a very successful meeting, which I think Tina will probably report next month to give you the details. But
Rudy, you rocked. You rocked that meeting. Good job.
Thank you. A lot of people are rocking today. You notice that? Well, we met with the MPOs across the state of Nevada and up in Washoe County. They hosted, but also with our Washington, D.C. advocates and try to get an alignment amongst the NDOT and all the MPOs to try to understand each other's priority projects and support each other. I think it was a very good meeting to understand some of the MAP 21 changes too. MAP 21 is the new transportation authorization bill that was passed by Congress recently. The other thing to report is the Southern Nevada Transit Coalition agreements that fund rural transit down here in Southern Nevada, where they'll be executed this week, Debbie, so I'm pleased to announce that. I had heard that they were in progress, and as soon as I heard that they weren't finished yet, I expedited that. The governor has received our bill draft requests for the next session of the legislature. There's a couple to mention. Nevada Department of Transportation will be supporting a primary seatbelt law in Nevada. Also, NDOT has a sunset clause from the legislature last session on construction manager at risk, the CMAR process, which has been used successfully by RTC on a couple of projects for the BRTs on Boulder Highway and on Sahara. And NDOT's using it on a few projects too. It would be helpful to work collaboratively next session to try to get the sunset removed for NDOT. Right now it is allowed for local public agencies and RTCs, but NDOT has a limit on a 2-year limit on trying it out and reporting back to the legislature. So definitely the RTC of Southern Nevada's assistance would be gratefully appreciated next session to try to pass that for NDOT. We also have a bill draft request in for public-private partnerships for NDOT for a tolling authority. Right now, tolls are not allowed for the Department of Transportation on bridges and highways. And that's all I had to report. Thank you.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rita, you mentioned tolling. US 95 and even I-15 with the express lanes on I-15, the HOV lane on US 95. I've been approached by some to have that discussion about creating a toll lane where if we wanted to drive in that high occupancy vehicle lane, we'd pay a certain amount of dollars or cents to do that. And it would still remain an HOV lane. I'm challenged, and those of us that live in the Northwest, Commissioner, there's not enough enforcement out there I mean, law-abiding citizens who are not driving in that lane during those specific times are doing the right thing, but there's a lot of people that aren't, and it gets quite frustrating. I know you don't have a direct tie to the Highway Patrol Department or Metro, but that's been a concern of mine because people are getting away with using that lane and for not unintended purposes. It's good to see a family of 2 or 3 or 4 in that lane at certain hours of the day, but I'm challenged by that, and I know there's probably nothing you can do about that, but I sure would like to, believe that you guys are thinking about that in regards to that public-private partnership in regards to toll lanes or toll roads or bridges and that sort of thing, because it's a lane, and I've even heard from some in the community that that don't make a lot of money, that, yeah, get, you know, the people that do have money, get them out of my way because I'm late for work. Comments?
In response to Councilman Ross's issue, part of the bill draft request doesn't include electronic enforcement. There's just not enough highway patrol officers, troopers to enforce. They do sometimes at peak hours. They'll have the motorcycle cops out there to do an event, but they're not out there every morning, every day of the week. So they have struggles with the amount of staff available to enforce the HOV lane restrictions throughout the day on 95. But what we're looking at is to have electronic enforcement passed as part of that bill draft request. So that would help us in enforcement.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, item number 4, conduct a comment period for citizens' participation.
This period is set aside for those that wish to speak to a specific agenda item. If it is not an agenda item, then you're asked to speak at the second public comment period. Let me have some cards. First is Mr. Mendoza on items 39 and 40.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to just make a comment on item number 39, which I observed that you will be going behind closed doors and discussing probably the discussion on SEIU and RTC, the contract. And we just ask you, when you're back there discussing that contract, to take in mind that you got 276 employees and a $33 million annual budget versus almost 1,000 employees that we represent. Again, the ATU takes the position that we are being treated as second-class citizens. On item 40, I believe, I don't know if that has to do with the 13C, the letter that was addressed to the commissioners from our international office legal counsel. And if it is, we are waiting for a response. I haven't received a response, or our international office hasn't received a response. And we are ready to also go to move forward on arbitration, but we'll wait, and I'll talk to international during this week and find out which approach we will take. Thank you.
Thank you. These other speakers don't have agenda items listed, so we will hear them at the second public comment period. Anyone else wishing to speak to a specific agenda item? Seeing no one, we'll close this portion of the public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Because my hearing device.
Mr. Christoph, do you have a specific agenda item that you would like to speak on?
No, just until the time for the speak
Right.
with the
I'll make
RTC.
sure that you're notified. And I have, Chris, I have your card here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Items number 5 through 38 constitute your consent agenda and may be taken in one motion.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, items number 39 and 40 are closed-door sessions. You may wish to consider taking item number 41 ahead.
Okay. And that's public comment?
Public comment, yes.
Okay. The board will be going to closed session, but we are pulling the second public comment period forward to allow the citizens to speak so they don't have to wait. We're not sure how long we'll be in closed door. So we'd like to open up the second public comment period. And I do have cards. So first, Mr. Christoph.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Christoph. First name is Peter, but they call me Chris. I'm a community activist as well as an activist pertaining to, and I put together this exactly Some 16 years ago, Citizens for Better Transportation and Safety. Before that, there was another person who was the chairperson, retired, and I worked with certain things pertaining to safety more than I did with the service, because the service has been very unique, or serving our greatest part of our county and cities. Why I'm here is to bring to your attention so you can look at this document. They go as far as back as 1969, Chairman. That's the contracts of the bus shelters, outdoor advertisement. As you have them, you have the white big one is where the contracts are, and the other one is ADA, American Disability Act, that came into 1990 to the state of Nevada. I know you put people on time, but the time when it comes to life and death on people who do not deserve to be involved in that kind of a feeling, that they sit at a shelter that is designed for advertisement and not for people that will have safety and be able to enjoy waiting for the beautiful buses that arrive to pick them up. I was here before you, 2008, prior to that one, when Oscar Goodman was there, as well as other people making all kinds of saying this cannot happen again. Well, it will always happen as long as we have shelters that were not considered safe by ADA, did not have specifications of ADA, like they do at other 50 states. I take it very seriously, as I've been here several times, on this issue, that the ADA wants to know who's at fault. Well, I don't blame the RTC, even knowing that they are trying to sort this out, but outdoor advertisement seems to have no liability, and some of those documents on the contract proves difference, as well as knowing that prior to that time, and I don't know if you can remember that far, Chairman, the general manager made a statement to me and other people, and it's on the minutes, that we're looking forward to correcting this problem. We're looking forward to move these shelters back, but we can't not do it. Well, he's wrong. ADA would have never let this pass any way possible, but for some reason, we have a problem, Chairman, and people on the commission, that if we're not going to take notice of something that's dangerous to people who maybe don't speak English or don't read in English, tourists or maybe the local people, we have to do something. We cannot keep shrugging it off saying, well, it's some driver that ran into it. That has nothing to do with ADA. ADA, if you read those documents and you take them home,
Mr. Christoph,
you will be able to see what's going on.
could you close your comments? Could you close up your
Yeah,
comments?
well, it's hard to get your attention on this because it's never on the agenda. And when you don't have something on the agenda that relates to people getting killed or hurt, it seems kind of the people looking at our council, our representatives, our leaders, to say, hey, what's going on here? And I know you're a great representative of the people. Like, I know you as well as the other commissioners. But I believe that we have to take not just a notice, but a concern of correcting things, not 10 years from now, Chairman, but now. And that's what the people are asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Dorothy Barnes.
Good morning, commissioners, public. I hope to make this short and sweet. I've been before you before. I have a problem yet riding the bus, whereas people are getting on the bus line, other customers, and they'll tell the driver, well, I don't know why I'm being ordered onto the bus, and I know law enforcement looks in on these lies that are told. And I called the Inspector General's office just this past week to address people staggering in over me, ex-drunks and addicts staggering in over me, having open house out on this military base. And their feeding information is making it hazardous for driving. And I was at the SST this past month. I don't know what the argument between the bus driver and this other customer, but I witnessed the customer pulling out a blade out of his backpack, bamming on the bus driver's door. And then the security was called and the supervisors at the SST. And the bus driver said, he's got a knife and he's threatening me. I did see him bamming on the door, telling the driver something with the long knife. But the security, they talked to him, the gentleman, and calmed him down. I guess that was settled. So what happens, some of them are getting on the bus line. They're mad because they can't lie on sick people. I'm tired of being threatened. I feel threatened riding the bus with them lying, making driving hazardous. Some customers are intimidated by them getting on there telling them not to tell the truth when they're ordered on the bus to tell the truth. I have a number of my doctors every year when I get approved for the reduced fare card. And my doctor was upset because what happens, they approve the card every year. I have to get a letter every year. So this time, I don't know what made the difference. They approved it for more than 1 year, because that's better than me running to the doctor every year, because sometimes the doctor is busy and I can't get an appointment. And they say, well, you can't buy a 30-day pass because your ID is going to expire before the month is out. That threw them in distress. So I'm trying to keep down trouble, because I don't want people getting on the bus with knives, angry because they have to ride the bus, ordered onto the bus. If they wouldn't put their names on the program to participate in this thing, monitoring system and thing, they wouldn't be ordered on the bus and have an attitude, say, yeah, she's riding the bus to tell it on us. Yes, I am riding the bus to tell something. I don't want my name on their program. I've asked them to stop playing with me. I don't care to play with them. I have a number of health problems. I don't care to play with these people with this type program. I'm not their Mother Teresa. I'm not Clark County Social Service Office. They've used me to get money, steal money, and that's what all the riding the bus lying on the disabled people, and they've got people in wheelchairs riding the bus lying on me. They bribed and paid them to go along with this thing. And I'm saying, take my name off. They're not the only ones with rights. I mean, I picked this up at one of the senators over at the thing for the homecoming veterans. I'm not a wartime veteran. I am a veteran of the U.S. Army. I do know the Constitution, and it's for all people. Right at the front, it says, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. You know, these things are for everyone. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. The next speaker, Sam Santoria.
Good morning. I couldn't go another month without saying at least good morning to you guys. But you can relax. It's really nothing bad. I just want to remind everybody, November 6th is Election Day. Please get out there and vote for somebody who's interested in transit. There's so many transit cuts right now, and none of the politicians are speaking about transit cuts. And as Deborah March said, there's 160,000 riders a day out here in Las Vegas. And if the wrong people get into office, there's going to be more cuts. And we need more buses and more service, not less. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That ends our cards, so those wishing to speak, please step forward.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Patricia Anderson. I'm going to make it brief. I know you have a long day. I'm still supporting, I said, still supporting the drivers. I rode the bus a couple of times with Barbara on the Tropicana bus. She's doing a fantastic job. She has a lot of stress because she crosses the strip. I observed a lot with her, and it's not fair to her what goes on. A lot of people want to ride free and all kind of nonsense. They don't stand behind the yellow line. She has to wait for them. She has to talk to them, and it's not fair to her. And as far as Viola is concerned, I know, my personal opinion, I need to keep the company. I know if I could keep it right now, it would be great. They're a good company, and I think you just let things stay as it is. I just wanted to know, like I said, if you could just give the drivers a little bit more respect. The drivers are really working hard. They're out there. I drove with Carol. I've worked with different ones. I've worked with Tom. I did the 109. One day I rode 9 buses, and I'm just, observing. I mean, with the drives and everything. So as I say again, I just want you to really realize here, as I said before, I'm from New York. What we need to do with our drivers is respect. Respect these drivers and you'll have more drivers than you can even count on, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commission. What I'm here today to talk about is something that involves the RFP that's out for the fixed bus contract. I understand that there's a quiet period taking place with the board, with staff, with proposers. However, there is a compelling public interest that calls for a discussion to take place relative to the process and what's going on here. And I believe that the public interest always supersedes and trumps any agency proceedings, because in the end, it's the people that it's the whole thing is supposed to be about. So with that, what we have here is a flyer that I will read that is factual, and I'll bring forth some evidence to support it. It says, to the Las Vegas community, your help is needed. Veterans, women, and blacks denied opportunity to participate in the interview process to clean the RTC buses and put veterans to work by Veolia Transportation, First Transit, and Keolis Transportation. Please join the, well, I'll skip that part there because that's a call out for people to join, which is taking place. The supporting organizations, while not here today on short notice, we have the weather conditions and otherwise. I have met with American Legion's post commanders at their district meetings. All of them are absolutely flabbergasted as to how a process could go ahead and take place and leave out the group of people who are in most need. There any process that leaves out veterans, blacks, and women is flawed by its very definition in America, okay? So, we have the VFW post commanders as well. We also have the Veterans in Politics as well on this. We have the Black Business Council of Nevada on this. We have a letter here from State Senator Stephen Horsford. I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if you'd received it yet. I know you got a lot of emails in there, but this came through last night here. And Mr. Horsford is also asking questions. How could a process take place with leaving out this population, not even being interviewed? Now, I'll go ahead and get to the substantiation of what I'm talking about now. On June 15th, email to Timothy Collins, Veolia Transportation, from myself, indicating, gentlemen, obviously I will have the diversity community all over this bid process. I would like to talk about the state, Golden State, it's really Silver State. I would like to talk about the bus cleaning contract now performed by Silver State. I will be putting together a strong service-disabled veteran-owned business to compete for the contract, and so because our veterans come first. And that's on June 15th. The response coming back was, Stanley, from Mr. Collins, the RFP will not be released for several weeks. When the RFP is released, we can discuss your interest at that particular point in time. Well, that particular meeting never came about with Veolia, and neither did it come about with First Transit, and neither did it come about with Keolis. And when I went to the pre-conference meeting, it was once again stated that local rule, minority DBEs, I expressed again the way we wanted to participate. Well, what I found was, after being approached by Keolis's president, the first thing he told me is that, oh, Mr. Washington, I had the pleasure of meeting with Herman Ross and all the rest of the DBEs. And I'm like, well, really? Well, how come we didn't get our call to go ahead and meet? We're being told to wait till after the RFP comes out to meet. Everybody else is meeting before the RFP comes out. So you wonder why, at the end of the day, we never got one interview call from any of the three proposers. Now, all three of them lockstepped went with Silver State after being told that it was up to them, that the board had no sway, staff had no sway. However, in communicating with at least one of the proposers in a letter here from First Transit, it seems to indicate that their decision to go was strongly, in part, as they say in this letter, influenced by the board's insistence and emphasis on local rule. So somehow, the process only recognized the Silver State as being the local player, when in fact we had another local player, a joint partnership team that was equally qualified, if not more qualified, than the than Silver State team, and did not get an interview at all moving forward. So now that tells me the question needs to be, why is it that everybody else was allowed to interview before the RFP came out, but we were told wait till afterwards, and then that date never came? And I still have First Transit over here saying, look, we're the ones who brought RIM to the table. We know you got a qualified team. If we get a signal from the RTC that you're recognized as a local company, we'll deal today. Had conversations with staff, we did agree one thing. Veteran Southwest Maintenance is a local company, okay? So that issue's been squared. Now the question becomes, why were they not at all included in the process after expressly indicating that they wanted to be, Mr. Chairman? And so this conversation will elevate and will keep on going because the public interest demands an answer to that particular question. And while all the presidents are not here today, we will continue to have this conversation. So while the quiet period extends for you guys, the volume is going to increase until we get an answer on how it is that our most prized population is left out of a process.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the board?
I'm Pastor Carroll from the Greater Calvary Baptist Church, and I'm here to support my brother Stan here. And I think the operations and the processes should be more open and fair. Amen. And I just pray that our community would be more considered when we have these contracts. We got a lot of unemployment in our area. I'm a pastor. I have it in my church. Amen. So we need these type of things to kind of help lift our community. We got young men and women that's going astray. I got 4 kids, 2 in college, 1 on a business, 1's a lawyer. Amen. They did very well. But I want to help these rest of these children, some of my members do this. And I pray this process be open. I think that we as blacks have to kind of tap us into some of this community. The Hispanics are getting a great portion of the employment and so forth. But blacks kind of, we built this country. They did a great job. But if we built it good enough to them want to come, we must be pretty good builders. Amen. So I want to just, since we need them now to sustain us, but we did a pretty good job. Amen. So my father built most of these hotels out here. Amen. He was a construction worker. Amen. My mother had a private business. My son has 3 barbershops here. So we want to do that. Amen? So I pray you consider this, whatever needs to be done to rectify this. I pray that you would put this very urgently, because we're very concerned, very concerned. I'm very concerned about the employment. Everywhere I see Hispanics working. I don't see blacks working. And I'm concerned about it, okay? That's my take. I hope you get it. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Is there anyone else?
I don't want to pry, but
Well,
I'm a veteran, and I know these people.
Let me ask if anyone else wants to speak.
You want to ask
first.
him a question? But, this practice of going on with get this bidding and everything is being questioned.
Is there anyone else that hasn't spoken to the board want the opportunity to speak?
It's a shame.
Peter.
Let's go.
Yes, my name is Robert Siebert. I was honored with being at that forum for First Transit's drivers. Have some issues on your time manifests. Went to that forum, we brought it up 2 days later. I was asked after my break to do, in 4 hours, 20 stops, 110 miles. Crisscrossing your city. Your traffic lights aren't timed properly. You put up road construction, like at Lake Mead and Pecos. You closed the whole intersection. Put a detour up to go down Las Vegas Boulevard to Eastern, get back over there. But then you put construction on that road as well. Where's the thought process in any of this? You ask us to get your clients to their destination on time. How am I supposed to do that if I don't get the help from you guys in proper planning of your road construction or the times on the manifest? That's all I really have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you for coming down. Commissioner.
Thank you. This may be more to Tina, but perhaps we could find a procedure to make sure that other entities that do work other than our public works notify RTC. Because recently, it just happened to be NV Energy is doing a project in my district, but none of us knew. And because of the restrictions, the bus lanes were all moved. Their rule is you can't have more than one. If you have more than one lane closed and they can't access it, then the route has to be detoured. and there was no notification to anybody. And so that it is a very valid point of at least communicating with us, because sometimes we don't even know what road work is being done. So maybe we could take a look at how, whether it's Water Authority doing a project, or Water District, I'm sorry, or NV Energy or Southwest Gas, so that we have a procedure in place so that you know for your bus drivers where the routes are. I also rode the bus at Barbara's request, and I still think, and this is to the union, you guys negotiated a contract that doesn't allow for bathroom breaks, and I think that's just absolutely irresponsible in my opinion. So the drivers do have an issue, I think, there with regard to the times. And I know Tina wrote it as well and found that on the west side of that route there is an issue of the timing to make sure that the driver can access that, and I know you're working on that part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the board?
Mr. Chairman, could I just answer Mrs. Anderson, who was here, that brought up about the breaks, in which you were bringing up also, Chris? And I know I talked with Tina about this because I've been very concerned. You've been very persistent and showing very strong conviction about how we need to take better care of the drivers and the breaks and things like that. And then when I investigated and looked into it further, I found out that that's controlled by the union. The number, you know, if you get a 5-minute break or a 15-minute break, and this is what you're saying now too, right, Chris? And this is a concern to me, and I think as things are being developed now, that's something that has to be worked out with the union, because we don't have the authority to do that. It's up to your union to help you, and I wanted to just bring that out, because it isn't that we've been listening to you and not thinking about it. We have been, and we have been inquiring, as you can see, and that's something at this time it's particularly good to do.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the, we can't get into a discussion, but Mr. Mendoza, just a couple comments, please.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to address regarding Ms. Tarkanian. We do have a CBA in place, and we did negotiate the meal and break in the CBA. That's why we are concerned when you guys split the service, there's going to be some problems, there's going to be some issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Except I just would like to say the problems are there before it's split.
Understand. Let's get back. Oh, Councilwoman?
I wonder if in the future, as our unions come in with issues and our employees come in with issues, that maybe on a quarterly basis we could hear from the companies, have them present and answer some of those questions for us, because we're the commission, but we aren't the companies, and so I think it's important that we hear at the commission meeting from the companies what they're doing to resolve some of these issues as well.
Mr. Mendoza set the record, 15 seconds, second go-around. Okay. So both of you have...
Second go-around.
15
Sam
seconds.
Santoria. Okay, I drive the Boulder Highway Express. When I get to my layover, which is Sunset Station, I have approximately 7 minutes, if I'm exactly on time, to run 440 yards into the casino, find a restroom, do what I have to do, and run 440 yards back to the bus. I'm 58 years old. I'm not a 440-yard dash person. That's if I'm on time, I have 7 minutes. The union does not make these schedules. This is the RTC who sets out these paddles, not my union. So before you start pointing fingers at my union, please point them at yourself.
Thank you. Mr. Washington.
Basically, one last submission, Mr. Chairman. You did not receive this this letter yet from MGM. It just came across this morning.
Okay.
Basically talking about the work that Veteran Southwest Maintenance is doing for MGM over there in the 2,400-room Luxor remodel that's going on. And his, the fact that he's met Dr. Gaines a number of times in the community and witnessed his commitment to community initiatives.
Stan, if you wouldn't mind letting us make a copy and put it into the public record.
That's fine. That's why I'm going to leave it here for you. So anyway, once again, Veteran Southwest Maintenance is real. It's a lot more real than a lot of these companies that are already here. There's a reason why our community looks like it is over here. We have no anchor companies to go ahead and participate and put back. Now, I've put together a partnership with veterans and women that has that, and we got the gall and audacity not even have an interview. You will hear more about this.
Thank you,
Thank
Stan.
you.
Oh, let me just sneak in again, because I know you're ready to close. I just want to say that my comments weren't anti-union. My comments were to help the drivers. And if we're hearing from one group that, no, it's this group that does it, and then from the other that it's that group that's doing it, maybe there's some way we can meet together on a regular basis. You know, we're constrained by law so much, open meeting law and other things like that, and you can do this during bargaining, you can't, but maybe there's some way we could ask Tina to help us so that we could meet in some way so that we can understand these things better. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close the public hearing period and entertain a motion to go into closed door. A motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are in closed door session.